All right, what's up, everybody? Today we are here with Tina Battock, and she is the general manager for the Nashville Stampede. PBR just started doing a team series, and Nashville Stampede is the 2022 champion. We're going to talk to her today, maybe hit some highlights from last year's season, a lot of ups and downs, and then we're going to talk about this season, the event coming up in Nashville, and yeah, just get caught up. How are you doing today, Tina?
I'm great, Hunter. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited
Yes.
to be.
So excited to have you here. And then, of course, my co host Kyle over there as well. This is Mr. Kyle Austin.
Howdy.
Hey, Kyle. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be here.
So, just to get some people caught up, including myself,
And me.
can you give a summary of last season? Maybe talk about how you were underdogs and just kind of how
Sure.
you got to the summit.
Sure. It was, a tale of two seasons for sure. I'll make all sorts of allusions to that. But it's the best of times and worst of times. We started off, won our first game against Carolina in Cheyenne and proceeded through the season really following the plan that we had committed to early on with a really stacked roster of guys. We're really excited, but we couldn't quite connect on wins as we went through the season in spite of really having top tier talent and performing really well. I don't have the statistics at the top of my head, but typically people rose to the occasion when they played our team. So I think the statistic was something like you had to ride 2.5 bulls to win a game, and if Stampede was in the mix, you had to ride over three. So people definitely leveled up when we were competing against them, and we weren't always converting into wins. So we went into the championship dead last as the eighth seed, and we had to play our way into the finals. So we went in there singular of our mission and really, were surgical about the execution of our championship win. So it was really fun. We knocked off the number 1, 2, and 5 seeds, and never had to play a consolation bracket game or a redemption round game. We went in and were 4-0 in the championship. So it was a lesson of sticking with it and trusting the plan and definitely peaking at the right time. And it was the definition of a Cinderella story. So it made for really good sports watching.
That's
I
really
love that.
interesting. Yeah. I was going to ask, forgive me because I'm not very well versed in it, but the team sport aspect of rodeos become fairly new, right?
It has. This is really a new initiative. There had been some trial balloons really with PBR. So PBR, which we will say is specifically bull riding, which is sort of what we consider the dessert of rodeo sports. It's oftentimes the thing that folks go to rodeo to see, and which is why it's at the end. It's really the marquee event in a lot of rodeos. And PBR is, of course, bull riding only, and the biggest, fastest, strongest, best animal athletes that are in the sport and the best riders. So it's always been an individual sport, as are most rodeo sports. There's some team roping and some other things, but it's always been an individual sport. But PBR's done some team challenges, different global cups, and some other things where they've put together a squad. But this was really the first attempt at a league, and it's been really well received. It's not been without some controversy, which is always kind of good to create some conversation. And I think we've definitely converted a lot of bull riding fans into believers in the team, because it just changes how you cheer for people and
Right.
how you watch, and it gives you the opportunity to get behind a hometown and a coach or a collection of riders. So it's definitely different, but the fundamental rules are the same. In order to get a qualified ride, you got to stay on the bull for 8 seconds and not touch him with your free hand. And so that's really what it's all about. And it's just the team aggregate score gets you a win.
Right. 1 second. Sorry. I just want to check something. I have a follow up to that, by the way. Okay. Yeah, we're good. I just think it's so interesting. I just think it's so interesting that because this is like fairly new as a team sport, you were talking about, diving into you said you were like dead last early on, and then you guys had to kind of figure out. I feel like you have to work even harder because there's not, football's been around forever and baseball's been around forever. So those team sports, like obviously if something's going wrong, they know exactly where to look and they know how to figure out, like here's what we probably got to change. For you guys, I'm sure that was really difficult because it's such a fresh thing and a new thing to be like, okay, what do we got to do? Like, where do we got to put emphasis on things? And where's our hard work got to go? I feel like there's,
I'm here. I don't know what happened. I'm still here. Oh,
I think her video disappeared, maybe. Do you see her video, Hunter?
No, her video disappeared from me as well.
Yeah.
see if I can get it back. Yeah, it looks.
And we'll just cut this part. We'll just cut that part out. So
Yeah.
no hitch or anything.
Yeah, no worries.
Let's see if I can get it to come back on. That's the video connected. I don't know if that was me or turn on camera.
Oh,
How about
there we
that?
go.
Sorry.
No, it's all
I don't know,
good.
a power surge, which is what we do. So,
We'll wait for a second. It doesn't show your video for us, or for me at least.
okay.
She's on mine.
It doesn't show on yours either.
Oh, she went away and
there.
she came back.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, what I was saying was, I just think it's so interesting because it's so new for you guys. I'm sure it's so much more hard work to try and figure out like where to compartmentalize that and figure out which direction you need to go and what you need to work on. Is that fair to say? Or?
I think it is fair to say. I think, we all the teams learned as we went through the season, sort of strategically what to do and how to really play the game, which, some of it was, when do you put your strongest rider on the strongest bull, or do you put your strongest rider on the not the strongest bull to ensure that you get a ride? Are you going for high scores or just a score? So I think different teams had different strategies, and those strategies evolved over the course of the season. And for us, I think we really just break it down to the only way you're going to win is to get a ride. So it's, it's one jump at a time, 1 second at a time, and try to ride your bull and the bull that's in front of you. And that's part of the challenge here, because you can't really size up your opponent.
Right.
While we're going head to head against other teams, we don't know, we might know who's in their lineup and how well they've been riding, but the bull is the factor that you don't always know and you can't take into consideration because they're the wild card, right? So we might get a tougher pen or a crankier bull that night than the other team, and there's nothing we can do about that but take care of our ride. So it was definitely a learning process, and I think it's changed a little bit how people approach the sport and scores and what we're willing to take as a score versus, what we want to try that again, because sometimes you get a re-ride if you get a low score, and sometimes you might want to keep that score. It just depends.
That's so interesting. At least I think it is because basically it's the Wild West for you guys right now, trying to figure out all that stuff. Like I said, and you never know whether it's important to put the strongest rider on the strongest bull so you can try and hopefully get more rides out of that, or just lock in a ride with making sure that your strongest rider is just on trying to line that stuff up. And also it's funny to think that in most other team sports like that, the opponent is the other team. That's not the case in this. You have more than one opponent. It's the bull you're riding or whatever other event you're doing, and also the other teams. You have multiple opponents. That's interesting.
It really just boils down to doing your job, which I think is really the case in most sports. It's, all you can really do is your job. And if our riders do their job, then we're going to win. But not everybody has the best day, and there are some variables in there that we certainly can't control. And it's not a sport of repetition or perfection, just again because that bull's different, and the bull could be different one day to the next. If same bull, different day, he had a little extra alfalfa that day, and so
right.
he's mad.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's so interesting.
I love it. One comment I'll make, just kind of to reiterate what y'all were saying is, whenever you're playing baseball or football, the ball is always the same, and the variables are always the same. I guess unless there's some weather or something. But like Kyle brought up, it's almost that that third variable that, like you said, is a wild card, and that is what I think is so attractive about the new team series, and I think it's gonna blow up. I mean, the energy in the arena last year in Nashville was unreal, and that was the first year that we've done it. So I can't wait. Which, by the way, Tina, tell them when the next Nashville Stampede Days is gonna be.
So it's coming up real quick here, August 18th, 19th, and 20th at Bridgestone Arena, which is right at the corner of 5th and Broadway in downtown Nashville. So it's a great time. We have some activities going on out on the plaza all day before the events, and then a couple after parties Friday and Saturday night. So even if you're not into Western sports or rodeo or bull riding, it's just really a good time. It's the energy of the crowd's fantastic, and it's just a fun night out. It's fun for families. It's good date night, good girls' night out, boys' night out, all the things. So it's definitely high energy. No one walks away bored.
Well,
For sure.
that's good. No, I can attest to that for sure. So last year was a tale of perseverance and making it count at the very last second when it mattered most. Kind of tell people where you think this year's team is at, because we're obviously the end goal is the finals and winning those, but there's still a lot of season left.
Yes, so much to the consternation of my fellow GMs and the coaches of the other teams, because we finished at the bottom of the standings for the season, we had the first pick in the draft going into the 2023 draft, which is the opportunity for new riders to come on board and make themselves available to the teams. So we were able to attract a lot of new riders and new rodeo athletes that decided that they wanted to give teams a shot. We ended up trading that draft pick to the Carolina Cowboys in exchange for two riders, one of which is Mason Taylor, who is he's a top 20 talent year after year. And he came over to the team. He's been battling some hip injuries, so we've got him on injured reserve right now. Our captain and world champion, Kaiki Pacheco, broke his leg 2 weeks prior to the championships of the individual season, so he's been recuperating from that injury. We expect to have him back in about 3 weeks. And then we also, over the summer, made a trade for another world champion named Jess Lockwood, who was part of the Oklahoma Freedom. So we made a trade with one of our young riders for him. So he will be making his debut with our team this upcoming weekend in Anaheim. So we're looking forward to having Jess back. So we're pretty stacked with world champions as soon as they're all healthy. And we've, picked up a couple of veteran riders to help fill the gap. And we also picked up a young 18-year-old phenom in the draft with our draft pick, and hadn't really planned on using him quite yet. We were going to let him mature a little bit more and get some more experience, but we've needed him, so we've put him on bulls the last couple of weekends.
Yeah.
And he's not gotten a ride yet, but he's experienced this next level bull power, and it's the best way to get him accustomed to sort of this level of bull riding. So we're feeling really good about our team. We're a little, frustrated in trying to stay the course because we're not full strength at this point. But when that happens, which will be the first week in September, we're ready to go claim another championship.
You said, oh, okay, it's that close then. So
Yes.
Awesome. Well, so you just said a lot of great things there. One thing I would like to jump off on. You said, there's a veteran presence. You got some fresh blood in there. You got some trades going on. And not to keep looking backward, but I did want to talk about one thing. You guys had a veteran bull rider last year by the name of Ryan Dirt Eater, and he kind of came out of retirement to do one last ride, so to speak, with the Nashville Stampede. And if you could maybe just kind of talk about how that was like a great cap to just a legendary career, and
Sure.
helped you guys win, helped him win, the whole, just a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story, and Ryan's a great person. He's just, one of the most sort of pure souls I've ever known. He's sort of like a big kid in a grown-up body, but he, had a very storied individual bull riding career. He had a lot of injuries, really catastrophic injuries that slowed him down. And really, the one thing he hadn't done was win a world title. So he had won a lot of events and a lot of money and had a lot of notoriety, but he'd never claimed that championship buckle. So when he declared for the draft, that was his single mission, is he wanted to claim a championship. So he was cobbled together sort of stem to stern, and he would be taped up from hip to ankle, and he'd get out there, and he just one of the grittiest, really courageous riders out there. And he, it was goosebump inducing to watch him ride at the championships, and he had all of his family there and his wife, and he rode his last bull ever, and he had a qualified ride, and it really helped take us over the edge in that final game that sealed the championship for us. So really a magical story, and we're actually doing a honoring him on Saturday night at the event on the 19th. We're calling it Dirt Night, and we'll be retiring his jersey and honoring him in some special ways, and we'll have a nice tribute to him that we'll put out on social media. But really just a great guy, a great story, an amazing athlete, and he's Dirt Eater is his birth name. He's a member of the Cherokee Nation and represents them incredibly well. And he'll continue to be an ambassador for our team now that he's retired. He'll be forever Stampede. For sure.
That's incredible, and also very inspiring perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of bull riders or anybody that's really in the rodeo has to have that sort of heart just to be a part of it. Because one thing, I guess I don't obviously, because I don't really know a whole lot, but like how you talk about injuries a lot in the last several things you talked about. Do you guys have to have a pretty large roster for that reason? Because obviously injuries are major in this sport, and I don't know how many people you use per rodeo in your roster, like how many people are riding or doing events. I'm sure it's different for each event because there's so much going on. But do you guys have to have like a pretty large roster then?
So we're allowed to carry 12 athletes. So we currently we just picked up one, so we're at 11. We have 2 on injured reserve, Kaiki and Mason. But then we have the other 9 are part of our active roster, and we typically take 6 or 7 guys to an event, depending on the length of the event. They're usually 3 days, some of them are 2, but they're usually 3-day events, and they'll just go out one time. And so a game is made up of 5 rides. So we'll put our starting lineup is 5, and then we have the option to, pick up our 6th or 7th guy, depending on the bulls we draw. So, sometimes we have the ability to, we know ahead of time what bulls we're getting, and so we'll try to put the guy who's best suited to a certain bull on that bull. So our starters kind of rotate depending on that. Usually one guy is sort of in flux, but injuries in the sport are inevitable, unfortunately, but they know that. I mean, these guys are adrenaline junkies. They're strong and they're determined, and they are not afraid. I mean, and maybe they are afraid, but they don't care. But they know that at some point in time, either they're going to get injuries just from the use and repetition, or they're going to collide with a big bull in a gnarly way, and we've seen some wrecks, but you know what? That's sort of sometimes, part of the exhilaration of the event and the sport is watching the narrow misses. And we've been pretty fortunate that when we say catastrophic, it's a broken bone, and haven't had anything horrible, knock on wood, happen. So they recover and they come back. I mean, Kaiki's coming back with this, a titanium rod in his lower leg. So he's chomping at the bit to get back on there.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's like I said, it's an inspiring amount of heart and perseverance that I'm sure all these athletes have to have. because they know the risks, like you said, and they come back from broken bones and all that meditation, or not meditation, but like remediation, and sitting there and sitting in a cast for a long time, and chomping out the bit to get back out there. And like you said, they may be afraid, but they're doing it anyways. Like they're putting all of that at the wayside. It's just incredible, the amount of like perseverance and just commitment to it. It's wild.
Definitely a lot of heart. And I would say that sort of this generation of Western sports athletes are really moving into the modern era in terms of how they treat sports. So they're training, they're running, they're working out, they're lifting weights, they're doing yoga and a lot of balance exercises and sports psychology, and be more concerned about their diet. They're not necessarily the iconic cowboys of the old days where they just see something and spit out their cigarette and jump on. These guys are really training to be athletes, and it shows. I think it shows in the quality of the riding that gets done. And I've been around sports my whole life and seen some tough things. These guys are monsters in terms of what they face, and the amount of pain that they're willing to endure. They're really sort of next level, kind of mentally.
Comparing it to other sports, like you were just doing, talking about the workout plans, some of the the diet programs and stuff potentially. Do these guys watch tape of certain bulls and get a game plan mapped out for, okay, if I draw this bull and I have to get on this one, this is kind of my plan?
They do, and to be honest, that's a double-edged sword, because again, the animals have minds of their own. So that with a quarterback, he's always going to throw with his throwing arm, right? Well, with a bull, he might 95% of the time come out of the gate and turn to the left, but this time he decides he feels like going right. And so if you've rehearsed a ride in your mind and the bull decides that not today, then we've had more than one rider be stopped because of that, because they their expectation was the bull was going to behave a certain way, and then they don't. They have minds of their own, and there's a crowd, and the chutes are different every time, and so there's some things that can't be controlled in the environment. So they study these bulls. I mean, if you say to them in bull's name, they'll go, oh, the little red one, he comes out and bucks twice and goes to the right. So they're students of the animals, but that's what makes it challenging, right? So they mix it up.
And I mean, also, it's not always the most dangerous bull that gets you hurt. It might be, oh, I don't want to ride so-and-so bull because that's the most ferocious one. But then, you draw one that you think's easy, and that's the one that could, hurt you. It's such a paradoxical, wondrous thing. And obviously danger's tied all up in that, but it's pretty amazing. Also wanted to touch on, so you got an award at the end of last season, or I guess maybe this off season. You were voted Executive of the Year in the PBR. What maybe talk a little bit about that. What was that honor like?
Well, it was very flattering, and it was very, I think one of the things that made it so special is that it was something that was decided by my peers, and we all had the opportunity to weigh in on that. And I'm walking with some giants in the sport, and I think that I'm a little bit of an outlier for a lot of reasons, and I think I brought maybe a different mix to the table. I don't come from the Western sports world, where a lot of them did either come from Western sports or came from sports generally, and that's not my background. So I think just offering that outside perspective, and I think in the first year of any kind of league or startup, there were so many things that we had to do that were foundational, and I think I found myself really being in the diplomat seat a lot of times, because there was a lot of really robust conversation about how and when and why and rules and all of those things. And so I think I found myself being the moderator or the mediator for a lot of things, and I think that that's probably what the recognition was. I think I joke a little bit that they just all felt sorry for me and they had to vote before we won the championship. So there was that. It might have been a consolation award, but regardless of how it came to be, it was a tremendous honor and really because it came from people that I have a lot of respect for. So, it was pretty cool. It was pretty special.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short. Obviously, you did something right.
100%.
I'm like the ultimate, bull riding soccer mom person. So they had good snacks. That's
Right? Yeah. They brought the Chips Ahoy in the baggies.
Exactly. You're doing great, sweetie. Just hang on longer.
Well, congratulations on receiving that. That's awesome. That's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. And I got a cool buckle. So there was an abundance of buckles at the end of the season. So that was fun because I didn't have a legitimate one. So that made me happy.
Speaking of buckles, I noticed a particularly special looking one right there on the right side of the frame.
Yeah, we call that the baby buckle. So that's the trophy we get to keep. So it's about a third of the size of the actual big one that will get passed around. Hopefully, our intentions are to reclaim it again this year. But so it's pretty special. It's engraved on the back and has everyone's name. So it's pretty cool. It's the first ever. So I think people always remember the first. And we're super proud to have been able to put the Stampede shield on that buckle for the first time and really be the one to kick it off and do it in such a dramatic way. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like you said, it's a great story. Like every way you've presented it so far has been like, it's just been so interesting. Like Dirt Eater coming out of retirement and helping you guys get over that hump, and then starting behind just to come back and win it all. Like all of that's incredible. And like you said, putting that Stampede stamp on it, it's a great story.
Yeah, thank you. It's been fun. Literally, I joke that it's the worst pun, but it's been the ride of my life. It's been really, really pretty cool. And I'm really hoping people take a look at not only Western sports, but bull riding and understand, the competitive nature that these are athletes, that these animals are treated like the princes and kings that they are. They're well taken care of. They're, not injured. No bulls are injured in the making of this bull riding. So they're treated really, really well. And we, as a matter of fact, we'll have a trailer out on the plaza during Stampede Days where people can come and see some of the world champion bulls and see the big puppy dogs that they are when they're not doing their job, which is trying to get a cowboy off their back. So,
right.
It's a good opportunity to educate people on, animal welfare and, all the things that go into this particular sport. So we're happy to share that story whenever we can.
I love it. You guys, I mean, obviously you're always going to be part of history anytime you win a championship. But the fact that you won the first one, I mean, it's just like, a lot of people know who played in the first Super Bowl because it was the first one. And that's just awesome that you guys are like Kyle said, y'all are stamped in there. Where's the finals at this year?
Finals are in Las Vegas, and I should have the date. They're the last weekend in October. So the finals will be in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. Always a good time. It's a round robin tournament style championship. So it's an opportunity to see all the teams competing, and hopefully everyone's at their best and tip top shape. And it's really fun. I mean, of course, I'm biased because we had such a great time last year, but it's really a good time and a great excuse to go to Las Vegas and watch some bull riding and take in the sights.
Now, is it in Vegas every year?
It was last year, and for the foreseeable future, it will be in Vegas.
Okay.
So that's definitely the plan. I think the only thing that would change it is if we were to add more teams to the league, which has been part of the conversation. So there may be some more teams coming, a couple more teams I think we might add next season. So that will add some intrigue to the mix because then there would really be the need to qualify to go into the finals. So yeah, lots of interesting things happen. And Las Vegas is a great sports town, period, but it's, really good for rodeo and Western sports. So the National Finals Rodeo is always there. And we, of course, bring our bull riding there every year.
Great. Well, I just want to wish y'all luck, which it doesn't even sound like y'all will need it because you got that
We'll
grit
always
and that
take,
resolve, and
we'll always,
you got the executive of the year too. But yeah, I just want to say thanks as well for this whole conversation. I promise I'm going to be a better fan and make sure that I'm staying up to date on all this stuff because there really is so much exciting stuff going on, and it's not very often that you get a chance to get on the front end of a great new emerging sport. And it's not a new sport, obviously, but a new format. So
new take on it for
get on the
sure.
bandwagon while you can. And
Yeah.
Definitely. You will not be disappointed. It is a
no,
good time. It's a thrill for sure.
I'm just
If
saying,
you're
Hunter. Maybe we should check the Spirit Airlines to Vegas. See.
come
what is
on
the date?
out. We'll host
Well,
you. I know. I felt bad. I should have it right up, and I turned off all my things so they
no,
weren't
you're
being.
fine. You're
But
fine.
it's late in October,
Okay.
and it goes over 3 days.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, anytime, come out. We'll host you. We'll show you. We'll take you behind the chutes and show you all the big scary bulls who let you pet them.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but
Well,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
just thanks again. It's always a joy talking to you, Tina. And like I said, just super, super inspiring just to hear the story of you and the team and just the direction the sport's headed. Kyle, you got any more comments?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool to see you talk about your team and stuff because you could tell how excited and how proud you are of everything you guys have accomplished and what you got coming up in the future. It's really cool to see that because you can see it on your face when you talk about it and how deeply you go into stuff. It makes me excited to I don't want to say jump on the bandwagon, but I'm doing it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm super proud of what we've done so far and what we want to continue to do. And listen, it's definitely a passion project on a lot of levels, but it's thrilling. So I invite everyone. I'm a little bit of a bull riding evangelist. So come on in.
Yep.
So it'll be good. So thanks for having me, guys. It's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Super.
All right. Hey, we'll talk to you next time, and
Sounds
can't wait to
good.
see can't wait to see those results. Okay.
All right. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. All right.
Take
See you
care.
later.
Bye.